of India's assassination threats are the continuous assassination plots that Modi regime is plotting against me, whether it is in Canada or USA. But of course, ultimately, I'll be able to run the Khalistan Referendum campaign only if I'm alive. So I'm taking all safety measures to make sure that I secure myself and continue my campaign for global Khalistan referendum.
Prime Minister Modi ordered an inquiry of sorts into this under pressure from U.S. President Joe Biden and other senior officials in the American government. This has led to an arrest. What do you make of the arrest of Vikram Yadav, a former member of the spy agency in India?
You know, the committee is just a farce, and the findings will be just a whitewash because we all know, and specifically the decades of pro-Khalistan 6 experience with the Indian judicial system, since we do not recognize their constitution. Their judicial system is biased. They are always biased towards the Sikh community, specifically the ones who have a political dissenting opinion like myself. The committee was given all the information by the American prosecution, the Department of Justice, that this is an individual who works in the RAW, which directly reports to NSA Ajit Doval, and Ajit Doval directly reports to the Prime Minister office.
Right.
So this inquiry committee has basically no meaning. It is just trying to put up a face and a cover-up face before America or before Canada that they are investigating an assassination plot. And if you would ask me, my belief is that I'm sure they are not going to investigate who is behind this assassination plot. They will be basically investigating how they could not assassinate me. What went wrong? Why did they hire a U.S. undercover? How did this happen?
You said RAW, just for people listening at home who may not be as familiar. That is the acronym for the spy agency, the intelligence agency in India, RAW. The U.S. court documents make very clear that someone from inside that agency was involved with this, but also shows a connection between the attempted assassination on you, the assassination plot against you, sir, and also the successful assassination of your friend Hardeep Singh Nijjar in Surrey, British Columbia in June of last year. Now we're hearing more about plots and activities inside Canada and this extraordinary disclosure to the public yesterday. I wonder, what was your reaction to what came public yesterday from the National Police Force here in Canada?
You know, like what Prime Minister Trudeau, when they made this statement yesterday publicly, it shows their Canada's unwavering commitment to justice, a rule of law, and the national security. And Six for Justice have been communicating with the Prime Minister office for the last 2 to 3 years, detailing all the spy network that Indian High Commissioner, who has been expelled, Sanjay Verma, he's the second in command in Vancouver, Manish. And before Manish, there was Amarjit Singh, who basically laid out all the spy network through their Indo-American contacts in Canada. So after years of giving information to the Canadian government, when PM Trudeau came out and RCMP came out, and that was a positive and one step forward for the justice. But I think expelling an Indian diplomat who orchestrated and provided logistics and intelligence support to the Indian agents who assassinated Hardeep Singh Nijjar is not the end of the road of justice. This is just a starting point. What we feel, pro-Khalistan Sikhs as a Canadians, that the consulates in Vancouver, Indian consulates in Toronto, that needs to be permanently shut down. Because expelling Indian diplomats and India sending other diplomats to fill that vacancy is not going to dismantle the spy network. It's not going to decimate and this is a direct challenge to Canadian sovereignty.
It's an interesting challenge, though, that Canada has, right, because of the economic and political influence imbalance between Canada and India. There is a significant Indo-Canadian population here in the country with strong family and business and cultural ties to India. So there is a challenge in how far Canada can go with some of these measures, and they have already taken some very significant steps with the expulsions and with the allegations from the politicians and the police. And we see a very different response from Prime Minister Modi and his government, with the United States being the superpower on this continent. I mean, how far do you reasonably think Canada can go in terms of getting a meaningful response from India when they seem to just be denying everything, shrugging it off, and only responding with a half measure, as you've described it, with what they've given the United States?
Now, first of all, David, what we really need to think over here is these Indo-Canadians who have family ties back home in India, are they loyal to the Canadian Constitution? Or do they still want to show their loyalty to the Indian Constitution? Because since the assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, I have not seen any Indo-Canadian organization which is supporting Modi regime coming out in open, including some of the Indo-Canadian member parliaments, that they have not supported the Prime Minister Trudeau since September 18th, when he came out openly. Rather, they are peddling the disinformation narrative, which is being given by the Modi media outlets, that you should equate Khalistan Referendum campaign with Khalistan terrorism or extremism. When we talk about family ties, we also need to weed out Indo-Canadian citizens in Canada. Are you loyal to Canada? Are you loyal to the Canadian Constitution? If you are, then you should all come out and condemn Modi regime and condemn government of India for doing foreign interference, for being using violence through transnational repression.
Just one last question, sir, before we let you go. The RCMP said they did what they did yesterday in terms of going public with the timing and bringing what they had to the government to get them to expel the diplomats, because they felt the violence and threats and the threat to public safety had only escalated since the Prime Minister accused Narendra Modi's government of being involved, and even the arrests in the murder of Mr. Nijjar. The U.S., through their law enforcement activities, foiled the plot against you, which seemingly disrupted the capacity of that particular attempt. But do you feel this will actually make things safer for people? Do you feel you are still a target and that your life is still in danger at this very moment, sir?
No, let's look into Narendra Modi's statement after joining the Prime Minister of India as a third term. He stated on the floor of the parliament that under his strong government, we are going to go to these safe havens of the so-called terrorists, because they designated us as a terrorist, and we will kill them. That should tell the policy of the Indian government and what Canada and America is dealing with. When a prime minister of a country is openly stating that they would go to the foreign lands and kill the people, individuals like myself with a dissenting political opinion. To the question, do I feel that I have a threat? I get open threats almost every week that I will be beheaded, and Canadian government and the American government knows. But will it stop me from running my Khalistan Referendum campaign? Am I afraid of their threats? No. My response to that is that Khalistan Referendum is a peaceful and a democratic process, which is a political opinion. All we are seeking is a global referendum on the question, should Indian governed Punjab be an independent country? How is this a terrorism? How is this an act of terrorism? This needs to be answered by India, that if they wanted to show they are the global leader or a world leadership, are you a democracy? Are you going through a regime which is equivalent with the regime of Putin or Iran?
Gurpatwantpannu, it was nice to meet you. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us today, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, David, for having me with you.